The Industrial Revolution represents one of the most pivotal moments in human history. In less than a century, the face of civilization had transformed from sprawling family farms, rustic homemade goods, and relatively sparse infrastructure to crowded factories, mass-produced merchandise, and steam-powered transportation. The revolution ushered in an era of exponential technological advancement and interconnectivity around the world. In this video, we're looking to answer three main questions. First, what were the most important technologies invented during the Industrial Revolution? Second, how did population sizes and distributions change, and what caused these changes to occur? Finally, what new jobs were created during the Industrial Revolution, and which occupations became obsolete? Stay tuned to learn the answers in this episode of Modern World History Video Projects: Global Effects of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution was heralded by marvelous new machines that enabled productivity like never before. Some of the earliest and most iconic advancements of this time come in the textile industry. The flying shuttle and spinning jenny, invented in 1733 and 1764 respectively, allowed yarn and fabric products to be produced at a much greater scale with less labor than before. These devices would take root in Great Britain and spread throughout Europe and America thanks to corporate espionage. In 1793, a man by the name of Eli Whitney is credited with inventing the cotton gin, a device that can process picked cotton by automatically removing the seeds and other debris from the fibers. This machine caused the cotton industry to explode and revitalized the dying institution of agricultural slavery in the United States. Whitney's idea would also be stolen. In an 1852 issue of the New York Daily Times, it was reported that a man named Lyon managed to witness the cotton gin in action and copy the design. Since Eli Whitney would only allow women into the room the device was housed in, figuring that they didn't pose any threat to his operation, Lyon disguised himself as a woman and was admitted into the secret room. If it's stupid but it works, then it's not stupid. Another crucial invention of the day that facilitated the technological growth of the Industrial Revolution was the steam engine. Originally conceived to pump water during coal mining operations, the steam engine all but created the modern factory by generating power for heavy machinery. Where manufacturing had previously relied on mills built on rivers or hilltops, steam engines made it so that you could run machinery anywhere as long as you had the coal to feed it. This gave rise to densely packed factories and industrial zones in large cities. The symbiotic relationship between coal mining and steam-powered machinery was one of the driving forces in technological advances at the time. Steam engines required coal to burn as fuel, and coal needed steam pumps to keep the mines from flooding and steam locomotives to transport it around the country. The advent of the steam locomotive alone sent untold ripples through the history of humanity. Now, people, products, and resources could travel hundreds of miles over land at speeds previously unheard of. Prussian soldiers and artillery rode to the front lines on trains in the First Schleswig War. American frontiersmen had entire prefabricated homes shipped west on railroads, and produce and raw materials were shuttled in from as far as India. The ability of steam locomotives to move vast quantities of products and materials enabled the construction of the massive cities and factories that are associated with the Industrial Revolution. Building materials became stronger and more accessible. Concrete was improved with the invention of Portland cement, and the Bessemer process made it so that high-quality steel could be mass-produced for the construction of buildings, tools, and machines. All of these inventions and more, including dynamite, the tin can, and incandescent light bulbs, would pave the way for human technological advancement to this day. The Industrial Revolution saw a massive shift not only in the size of populations, but in where they were concentrated as well. According to Thomas Kogel and Alexei Perskowitz in their paper Agricultural Productivity Growth and Escape from the Malthusian Trap, the annual rate of population growth in Great Britain grew from 0.38% before the Industrial Revolution to 1.34% after it. The entire European population doubled over the course of the 18th century, then doubled again in the 19th. Just like in the Agricultural Revolution, advances in farming were the primary driver of this population boom. Not only could more crops be produced, mitigating the historic threat of drought and bad harvests, but the farming itself required less work, freeing up laborers to take other jobs. As the demand for farm laborers shrunk and new jobs sprung up in cities, many families moved from the countryside to urban centers in search of work. In 1801, 1/5 of Brits lived in cities, while the remaining 4/5 resided in rural areas. By the end of the century, 3/4 lived in cities. This trend was even more exaggerated in Africa, Asia, and South America, but they had all begun with smaller urban populations. Quality of life was worse in the cities, but the economic opportunities they presented drew hordes of people nonetheless. Countless new jobs and professions were created over the course of the Industrial Revolution, and the diverse populations of the world rushed to fill these new gaps in society. One of the most common and iconic jobs of this time was the factory worker. These unskilled laborers would perform simple, repetitive actions for the duration of their shift. As things became more standardized and mass-produced, factory workers would often form primitive assembly lines, where each station in a factory would focus on producing a specific item or performing a specific action. Factory workers face a myriad of health hazards, including polluted air, toxic materials, and dangerous machines. Women and children were increasingly joining the factory workforce, and it wasn't uncommon to have one's fingers or limbs mangled or get caught in some other factory accident. One such example is the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, wherein poor safety protocols and negligent management led to the deaths of 13 men and 133 women. Other than the workers, factories employed managers, repairmen, and other logistical laborers. The amount of teachers also increased as more and more opportunities arose in fields that required study. Children around the globe were required to attend school, and there were pushes in imperial powers like Britain to establish schools and universities in their colonial holdings. Locomotive operators, firefighters, and other public service jobs also sprung up as the result of rapid urbanization. Finally, a growing middle class was joined by a new upper class, the industrialists. Wealth and opportunity came to those who controlled the means of production, and anybody who could get a slice of this cake would live a lifestyle previously enjoyed by the aristocracy. Because of the growing importance of industry, the influence of aristocrats who brought less value to the table gradually diminished. As new jobs were created, old ones were destroyed. Automation and population trends left some professions obsolete. Many industries that now had factories and machines capable of mass production muscled out small competitors. Jobs such as spinning became a thing of the past and would never return. As automation led to more and more jobs being lost, a faction of disgruntled citizens called Luddites emerged. Luddites held a disdain for machines that they viewed as a threat to their livelihoods, and they would protest against automation and commit industrial sabotage. In conclusion, the Industrial Revolution caused drastic and irreversible changes to societies around the globe. Populations grew and moved, entire industries emerged, transformed, and died. The events and innovations of this period are responsible for the exponential technological growth we've enjoyed to this very day. It may not have involved kings and armies, but the Industrial Revolution truly was revolutionary.